What the fuck?
Hello and welcome to Taste Like Tea, a podcast in which I talk about myself. My name is Theo. Don't call me Ted. It's been a pretty shitty weekend, to be perfectly honest. It was 4th of July weekend, and I had to deal with not having any electricity for ongoing still. It's going to be a total of like 5 to 6 days I'll go without electricity. So I was just really annoyed, and I barely got any sleep last night. So once I got into the car, I didn't really think like, I think I'm just going to sleep. I didn't actually think I was going to record anything, but I do have something to talk about, and I have some time to talk about it, I guess. I'm going to pick up some Taco Bell, so there's going to be that. I'm probably pausing my way through it because I find Taco Bell interactions to be painfully long and awkward for some reason, even though the drive-thru robot is, not a real person, and whatever. So yeah, I was just really beaten into shit, and I really just I wasn't interested in doing anything today. But I looked at my diary for the first time today, and I realized that I kind of do have something to talk about. It's not like I don't have anything. And once I ate that fistful of trail mix, I kind of woke up a little bit. I wish I did that like 4 hours earlier, but whatever. Taking a nap at my desk or whatever. Not actually, but I wish. So yeah, I do have some stuff to talk about today. It's actually a pretty important one that's going to lead up to hopefully another Jack Shoulder double feature. Or not double feature, a Jack Shoulder episode, hopefully. But we'll get to that. Anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me. That's a thing you can do for some reason. I find it to be not good to have zero way of interacting with people, even if they don't want to do it, which is a thing I consistently encounter with my interactions on the internet. Is I generally speak to the wrong people at the wrong time for the wrong thing, and I usually end up just going like, are they going to reply to me, or so that's why I kind of got off of social media to begin with. I don't know why I'm talking about it like that. Anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out. Convince me that Facebook's worth using again. I doubt you can do that, but if you want to have an idea for what to email, that's an idea, I guess. There's that McDonald's that refused to serve me 20 minutes before they closed. I remember that. Anythingbutted@gmail.com, and dickhead, look at the fucking lines on the road, you cunt. I think I'm gonna pause it now, and then I'm gonna get into the movies, I guess, right afterwards. So write in those emails or whatever the fuck. All right, so we're talking about films today. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break or whatever. I should be more, whatever. I want to talk about how I don't know what I'm doing, but clearly I don't, and clearly it doesn't matter because I keep doing it. I just picked up a lot of Taco Bell. Why is it every time I pick up Taco Bell recently, it just smells like cinnamon? I don't even have cinnamon things in my order. Super weird. So I'm talking about some films today. It's a weird one. So it's a double feature, but it's half a theater feature. Like it's a little bit of everything. It's gonna have a little bit of everything. Kind of. Dude, just go. Come on. The World Cup is really... I think the World Cup is why everyone from out of state is around here. Like, what the fuck is Colorado doing here in a fucking minivan? Like, what... It's gotta be for the World Cup, right? Like, I don't understand why someone would flock over here to watch a game in a Anyway, I'm not going to get into my opinion on sports. That could be for another day, maybe when I talk about him or something like that, or Longest Yard or whatever. But today, it's not entirely a Jack Shoulder film, but it's also not entirely a 4th of July, but it's also I'm intentionally watched it this way because it was 4th of July weekend. And I think that that's a huge point with it. It's fairly common knowledge, at least to people who have seen it, and well, I guess really just people who've seen it. There's probably other people that know, but Jaws is considered a 4th of July film because it takes place on the 4th of July weekend when they're trying to sell out the beach or whatever. But little did I know, Jaws is actually an adaptation of a novel or a book. I don't know if it's considered a novel, considering it's also what's the word? It's about a true story, right? So the adaptation, the book that Jaws is adapting, is about a real series of shark attacks that happened in New Jersey in 1916. So, geez, it also smells like, it's like they're rocking so many desserts, but I don't see any desserts. It's just chips. Oh, they cook the chips in the same oil that they cook the cinnamon twists in. That's what's going on. Because it's the chips that smell like it. Interesting. So, yeah, in 1916, shark attacks happened. There's a novel. I don't know what it's called. And then Jaws was made, and talking about it, except they made it a modern day story. And by modern day, I mean mid 70s. The first blockbuster, as people call it. And then in 2004, I don't know why it was 2004, but Jack Shoulder, my boy, big fan, as you may know, Jack Shoulder directed a TV film about the true story. World War I was going on, polio was happening. There's a lot of stuff that happens. There's a lot of things that the time that it happened in really significantly shift the story. So, like, 12 Days of Terror, that's the name of the film. I don't know if I said it out loud yet. 12 Days of Terror is the name of the film, and it's an adaptation of the 1916 events, like the true events that happened. And again, I never read the book, and I don't necessarily know anything really about the actual event, although it happened in New Jersey, and I think it was in Matawan or something like that. I don't really know New Jersey towns, especially coast towns. So, yeah, it's a 2004 TV film about the shark attacks that happened in 1916, directed by Jack Shoulder. It's called 12 Days of Terror, and I guess let's say it right off the bat, it's fine. I'm a huge fan of Jack Shoulder films, but clearly not all of his films are entirely something he pushed certain ideas in on. Sometimes you just have to make a movie. Sometimes you just gotta do the job, My man had to work. He's a teacher right now, which shows, I hate the saying when I'm talking about Jack Shoulder, but if you can't teach, and really the only thing he can't do is consistently get funded for other films, because I've seen in his interview that he doesn't want to be officially retired. I don't think he ever classified himself as a retired filmmaker. He simply has not gotten any jobs. And that's it. So he has to do his job sometimes. He has to make some money. He makes 12 Days of Terror, and it's a shark movie about the 4th of July. Who'd have thunk it, right? But it's let me let me stop it like right here. It's not a... So, yeah, it's not like it's a groundbreaking film in any way. It's a really simple film, but it has some really solid stuff in it. Not many Jack Shoulderisms, if you will, but still some interesting concepts. For one, just the idea of like everything around, like just the time frame is really enticing to me because it really recontextualizes the logic of closing the beach or not closing the beach, because in Jaws the whole thing is like, oh, we can't close it, it's gonna be too profitable, we're here for profit, this is a good thing for money. And you know, that's technically the same reason that they do it in or that they don't want to close the beach in 12 Days of Terror, but there's a couple extra factors that I think are very significant to the decision making that almost make me sympathize with the idea that maybe we should have kept the beaches open a little longer. Maybe we could have just been a little bit more restrictive on like how far out we can go, and you know, like just like there could have been restrictions that could have assisted and helped without the need to close the beach. And I think that because, you know, in Jaws, that kid was brutally murdered right up front. You know, like there's, I'm pretty sure he was murdered up front. In this one, the first victim survives. He gets his leg horribly wounded. It's like shredded up, and it doesn't look great. But but at least in 1916, as I said, polio is going around, and World War I is happening. So, you know, a town that's known for bringing like a little alleviation to the stress, because the introduction of the film explains a couple of time-sensitive details, like that polio's going around, that beach bathing is, I think, the term they use for it, but like swimming at a beach has become like a trend, which I wonder what that means. I wonder if that's like, because I didn't like dig into it, but I did listen to it a couple of times. The introduction, I went through it like 3 or 4 times, mostly because I just wasn't paying attention. That's when my power went out, was literally like when I was about to put that film on. But I refused to not watch it, so I watched it on my phone. Take that, David Lynch. My telephone. So, yeah, a big thing is not just that it's profitable to keep the beach open. It's that the beach provides fresh air to get people away from, I didn't know polio can be contracted through air, but that's what this film is talking about. They're like, yeah, fresher air means less polio in the air. And that, I think that's a very important thing to consider, because genuinely, like, if there was an epidemic going around and it could alleviate the issues by allowing them to be in a little bit more of a fresher area, I think it's worth advocating for. The risk is really where it gets, you know, a little dodgy. But there's that going on, and then World War I is happening, so people are just like stressed and scared, and they needed something to look forward to. They needed a friend, or like something to bring joy to their life. So they you know, I just think those 2 extra factors are massive contributions to my support to at least consider keeping the beaches open. In Jaws, I see zero reason to keep the beaches open, because it's simply just capitalism not succeeding because you're not allowing it to happen. That's a bad way to put it, but you know, the whole reason Jaws in Jaws they don't close the beach down is because it's too profitable. And that's just, it's dumb. I mean, yeah, it's dumb in a real life sense, and it's a movie, it's supposed to be exaggerated. But I think that's something that Spielberg... Is Spielberg the one that did Jaws? I don't know why I don't know this. Why do I have to not know this right now? Yeah, Spielberg. I don't know why do I have to look it up? I nailed it the first time. So Spielberg stripped away, at least for me, two key elements of justifying the logic. And maybe that was intentional, not just to modernize it and make it so people are like, ugh, 1916 movie? Why would I want to watch something so old? Like... So, maybe he intentionally did it because he wanted the mayor to seem that much dumber. Which I guess is possible. But anyway, I'm talking about 12 Days of Terror. I just kind of went on a really dumb, incoherent rant that I can't even really remember the information that was portrayed in that. So, oh jeez, Jesus Christ. The film starts, you're following a lifeguard. I think that's important too. I don't remember, I'm pretty sure the main character of Jaws is a scientist of sorts. I'm pretty sure they're just scientists. Or he is, I should say, whatever, Dr. Lambert. But in this film, we follow a lifeguard. And that lifeguard is in love with a girl, or kind of. He's in love. He's not in love. He really thinks... I don't know. I don't think it's love. I don't think it's portrayed deeply enough. It's more of just an infatuation, a passive sharing of interests between him and his friend's girlfriend, soon-to-be wife. And then shark attacks. It's a lot of talking about the lifeguard duties and the... Jesus Christ. Where am I? So lifeguard unsuccessfully saves people, right? So the entire film is kind of like a why can't I do my job right kind of film. So it's got like a frustration to it, but it's all mostly because other people are being careless, and he takes it upon himself to like sort of feel blame for it because he's kind of correct from the get-go. He's kind of like, hey, it's a fucking shark, and everyone's like, no, unlikely, not very realistic of you to say a shark. So the whole film is him going, it's a shark, and them going, nah, it's probably not a shark. And slowly people start believing it's a shark until it's too late and more people die. It's literally Jaws, right? I think that's why I'm having some trouble talking through it, because I'm trying not to, one, just constantly talk about Jaws, since that's not the film I'm talking about, but also just kind of like use it as a comparison the entire time, because I think that's just the easiest analog to get through to others who haven't seen it. But that's going to be this entire episode, to be honest, because the whole thing about what I did with this double feature is I specifically did not watch Jaws. Jaws is a film that I don't love. It's good. But it's not me going like, oh shit, that's my 4th of July movie. If I was to pick a 4th of July movie, it'd probably be Sandlot. And I watched that last 4th of July and loved it. The 50s or the 30s or whatever, they were pretty cool sometimes. So lifeguard isn't believed, and more people die. This is a Jack Shoulder film, so although probably not in the insane department that I would normally describe a lot of Jack Shoulder films' introductions, like opening scenes, although it's not as crazy as, say, like The Hidden, or I even think Nightmare on Elm Street 2, or like, he always does something a little over the top and shocking for the introduction. Like, the first act always kind of ends with a really big bang, and I think that this one kind of shares a similar attribute, but it's not as over the top, because I think it's trying to not be Jaws, because it came out 20 years after the film. So, like, it had 30 years, sorry. It came out 30 years after the film. Maybe 28, something like that. Was Jaws 76? I don't remember. But this is 2004 for TV. He's probably doing his best not to evoke Jaws, but still, like, do similar things. So, like, there is still the POV shark shots. There's still people thrashing in water. One thing I can't remember about Jaws, though, is do they show actual gore? Or is it always just blood in the water? Because this film definitely shows gore. And I think it looks really good. And I think that's a part of why I like this. It just has that little bit of, like, pushing the limits for a TV movie. Because I feel like even though 2004 is kind of reveling in violence as a whole at the moment, they are they're kind of pushing it with this first gore scene, because, like I said, the first attack happened and you see a mangled leg, which it looks pretty bad. There's a lot of decent looking blood in this film. What the fuck? See, this is why I shouldn't. But I do anyway. Because why not? Whatever. What am I talking about? So, I don't know if Jaws has gore, but it does have blood. I think the gore in this looks pretty decent. I think the part where I went, oh shit, is... like I said, the first attack is a mangling. It's just an attack. He survives. The second attack, is teased to be more kids, like teenagers, but it ends up being a lifeguard, and he loses both of his feet and ends up bleeding out, and it's really gruesome. It's a quick, like, half a second shot of him being pulled out of the water, but you see his stumps and they're jagged looking, like something really yanked at it. And I was shocked a little bit. It was a pretty good kind of effect. It looked really good, and that's not even like the most gruesome things that happens. More limbs do get mangled. I think that's really... I think the feetless thing is probably the furthest it goes, but there are still some shocking moments later on. There is a kid death, very explicit kid death, where you end up seeing a skeleton a few minutes later. Not nearly as gruesome as these other things, just kind of bleak. Yeah, that kid death was pretty crazy. And, the thing that really weirds me out is I don't think the love thing ever really pans out. which I think is probably the closest I can get to with a Jack Shoulder connection, really, because one thing I do notice about a lot of his films, especially the ones I can usually struggle to make direct, because I always try and put like gay themes into his films, or at least I've been looking for them. And I think whenever there's a film that I struggle to find a Jack Shoulder-ism, I feel like I'm gonna start calling them that, just isms, because it's getting annoying. How many times do I say it? I'm gonna have to do that in Letterboxd too, and just coin it a shoulderism. But whenever I can't get like any explicit like repressed sexual, like homosexual energy, which is something you can find pretty easily in a lot of his films, there is another thing that you can look for, and that is the unconfident protagonist. Usually very timid, I think is a good word. Not outwardly spoken, and very nervous around women. And almost every time there is one of these characters, he's almost always single and just kind of like wishing for a relationship. I think it's a very Jack Shoulderism that I only pinpoint it because that's a key point in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which is where this knowledge of gay part of his filmmaking kind of started, is him admitting, and if you examine that film, it's very obviously a homosexual kind of repressed film. Damn, I never did my individualism little thing. I knew I missed something. I don't know if doing it 27 minutes in. I could probably do it at the end, I guess. Doesn't really have its impact or staying power or whatever, but that's the beauty of this podcast. I forget to put, if I put the date or what I watched first in the title, and that keeps getting flip-flopped back, and I never know when I'm going to be plugging the things that I try to check off in my head. Damn, that wasn't a good sidetrack, because I don't remember what I was talking about. Jack Shoulderisms, timid boys, nervous, can't talk to women. Not necessarily because they want the women, which is another very key thing. Any of these boys that exist in these kinds of films generally never get further than a kiss, and most of the time they never even really get that. I think there's once that a kiss happens, and I want to say that's Sketch Artist 2, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly, but probably not. What is it? So, Jack Shoulderisms, timid boys. Yeah, I think if there's anything I can pull out of this film that could make like a direct connection between every other Jack Shoulder film, it's probably those two things. I don't know if I said one a second ago, but there's the two things. There's the shocking opening with a genuine cruelty to its violence. Never played for laughs, always played for like, oh shit kind of moments. That's a very Shoulderism. And I think Shoulderism is supposed to be used as a noun. I think I'm using it wrong. I would just say very shoulder. Fun. And then you got the timid boy stuff. So like those are probably the two hard connections I have with Jack Shoulder and 12 Days of Terror. Outside of that, it's just Jaws place in 1916. There's no real there's the polio and the World War I stuff doesn't really go anywhere, except the first attack is waved off as possibly a German torpedo mangling a guy's leg. So I'm not entirely sure there. But other than that, it's kind of, the thing that's really good about it is the main character and the shark stuff. Unfortunately, the main character and the shark stuff isn't the entire film. So when you're not seeing this lifeguard struggling with, like, people not listening to him and questioning his own, like, ability to guard lives, in New Jersey, by the way, it is in New Jersey, that's a thing. Yeah, whenever it's not those two things, it's very not good. And maybe it's because, not everything could be a winner, right? You can't have the perfect film. I can call something a perfect film. Like, I think recently in my top 20 update for when I took Kill Bill off, I think I referred to it as a perfect film. But it is also not every film is no film is perfect, because art is subjective. I guess in that sense, all art is perfect. And if you don't like it, you simply don't get it. All right, well, there I go. I changed my mind. Yeah, I feel like there's not too much else to say about 12 Days of Terror. It was a TV movie. I watched it in like 360p. It was a rough watch because like I said, the power went out that bitch is dumb. The power went out literally like as I was about to put the film on, and I did my best to like get the clean image off, like the one I was going to watch off of my computer. I had to end up settling for a Russian it's like the Russian version of YouTube. I don't know what it's called. It's like YKTube or Y video, V video. I don't know. It almost is YouTube, but it's not YouTube. And I really don't understand why Russia's separate. Like, they have such separate things. They have their own YouTube platform. They have their own music platform. Or at least I don't think I have access to that platform. I've tried to go to it, and even with certain VPNs, I can't place myself in the right spot in the world to try and access that website. It doesn't work. It simply says you're region locked, and I guess that means unless you get yourself into a Russian server, you can't access Russian content. Which, like, I found this woman on Instagram who's like an operatic singer that's in some sort of Russian teen drama I really want to watch called Pride. It translates to Pride, I should say, which makes it really hard to. If you Google Pride TV show, it doesn't get you a precise answer. But yeah, the power went out. 2 trees got knocked, and power lines were pulled. I still don't have power. It's why I'm frustrated and why this episode almost didn't exist. But I guess my frustration with it is something I can channel into this episode, which I wish I remembered to do. Well, I guess up next is my second film, right? It's the double feature I was talking about. So, like I said, this is an intentional 4th of July double feature. It ended up being a triple feature, but I decided not to talk about that third film. I'm probably going to give it its own episode because, whoa. But the second film, I went to the Gap Theater in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, to see the 11 o'clock showing of 1978's Gums. I don't get the years right ever. 1976. So Jaws came out before that, right? It has to have. Anyway, I went to the my favorite local theater. The reason I've been going to movie theaters, because I don't think I've actually been to a modern theater other than Repo the Genetic Opera in a while. A long time. It's mostly been independent theaters since then, and I'm happy I found one that's a reasonable distance away for me to feel comfortable going on a regular basis. But I went to the Gap Theater, where I saw Gums, 1976's Gums, which it didn't click for me when I first watched it. At least not immediately. I had to get a few minutes into the film to realize what it is. But Gums is a porno parody of Jaws. And when I watched it my first time, I didn't know that. I just kind of put it on because someone I saw watched it and it came to my attention. I said, I want to watch that. But Gums is a very significant film for me, and that's why I really wanted to do this double feature. It's one kind of like a pseudo protest to watching Jaws. Like, I just didn't want to watch Jaws, and I wanted to watch some other America-ass movies, or like 4th of July themed movies. The other one is America-ass. But yeah, this film I went to see. Oh, during the Exhumed triple feature at the Gap, which I do have an episode on. You should check it out. It's probably one of my most cohesive ones. Plus, it talks about 3 films instead of 2 because triple feature. Awesome experience. But while I was there, I saw a preview. Not even a preview, just a card, just a single frame, like just the poster. It's what the Gap does in between movies when they're not showing like old 35mm previews. They're showing little cards, and one of them was Gums, and I immediately was like, whoa, because I know that the Gap has played porn in the past. I can't remember which ones, but it got me really excited that's something that they do, and I think maybe they also got excited that they can do it because, I mean, I haven't been going for long, but I never really noticed any X-rated films until recently, so maybe it's something that the owners also kind of realized, like, hey, adult films, 11 p.m. showings, like, why not? If we're not doing a triple feature that Friday, why not? Or a double feature that Friday, why not throw in a random porno that works? And, I mean, it got me in the doors, and I think I accidentally paid double. I bought a ticket online, and then I went there, and I think they charged me for another ticket, but that's fine. It's literally $10. I mean, it's $10 is, paying $20 for a $10 ticket is still twice as much, but at least I was happy to give it to them. Of all people to get double charged on, I think a local theater that, even with buying a ticket, my snacks, which included a big bag of candy and two locally made sodas, I paid $22, so that's cool. But yeah, it's a very significant film for me, and when I saw that they were playing it, I knew I wanted to go. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to make it or not, but I knew I wanted to go. So when we finished the mystery triple feature, I walked out and talked to the owners. I'm like, hey, I saw Gums, but I didn't catch a date. Do you know when that is? And he said, yeah, July 3rd. And I went, all right, I'll see you there. Ironically, I don't think I saw the guy that I said that to. I saw the other woman who is also great. But, yeah, I'm like, is that like the X-rated version? Like the uncensored? He's like, yeah, it's the full one. I don't think they have a 35 of the R-rated cut. which I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the one I've seen in the past. I've seen the R-rated cut, which is wildly different. I'm pretty sure it has an entire scene taken out of it, or added to it to make it a little bit more softcore, but it's the entire film of Gums, except all the penetration is covered up by giant animated stickers. Like if someone just started to sticker bomb your screen in Little Big Planet, it's kind of one of those just random dumbass cartoon stickers. One of them was like a toothpaste tube that said Gums on it, like just really dumb shit. So when I saw it, I'm like, are you showing like the unrated cut, or the X-ray? He's like, yeah, we're doing that. And I got very excited because as far as I'm aware, there's no way to see the unrated, the X-rated cut. I mean, I'm probably very wrong. I've never actually looked into it, but my friends online who have watched this on a physical disc of recent release, they said it's an extra in one of their Vinegar Syndrome Blu-rays, and it's the censored cut. So, unless someone's out there, unless someone's like bootlegging them or something, I have no clue. I mean, again, I never actually like checked, but I also can't say. I've scrolled through a lot of like websites that would sell that on DVD. So like, I feel like I would have seen it and at least like mentally made note that it was there, but I don't recall ever seeing that ever. So I will look it up soon. Maybe even, I'm not going to do it right now. I don't want to touch my phone. That's risky. But yeah, so then I didn't even realize it was July 3rd. And then when I was looking at the calendar, I'm like, oh shit, that's 4th of July weekend. That's why they're doing it. They're showing Jaws at like both days before and after that showing. It was actually the Killer Orca, but it went Jaws, Killer Orca, and then Gums. But then they showed Jaws the next day anyway, so I think that still counts. So like, it's literally just, it's a 4th of July weekend thing. They're like, we got our hands on Jaws and Gums. They actually had the Jaws trilogy. I wonder if 3 played in 3D. I would go to see it in 3D because that sounds awesome. But yeah, so I decided to go. The stars aligned, and I had myself a full weekend to myself to not have to worry about having any responsibilities whilst still wanting to go watch porn in a movie theater. So I did that. It was a great experience, and I don't know where I'm going with this. I guess let's talk about why this is a significant film for me, right? I don't even know how long I'm going to have on this conversation. But why is it a significant watch for me? Why is this really low-rated 75-minute parody porno of a 70s blockbuster I'm not even too hot on? Like, why is it so significant? And it really has to do with when I watched it and how I watched it the first time. Because, like I said, I saw on my Letterboxd, I didn't mention Letterboxd, but someone I follow on Letterboxd, Dave Jackson, was one of the first few people I followed on the app. This was even before... No, that's not true. But I saw he watched it, and I looked it up immediately. I'm like, can I find it? I'm like, so what happened is I called in sick from work, and I was just laying on the couch, and I was about to watch something, scrolling through my phone, and I saw that, and I'm like, what if I looked for that? And I found it. It turns out X Videos and X Hamster has so many full-length like adult films. It's actually really cool. I'm pretty sure as a child, like a horny child growing up, I've definitely known that, but never really utilized it because I never really actually watched porn for the plot at that point in my life, and like cared about the filmmaking and stuff. But which is that's the thing, is like, why is Jaws, or why is Gums this film that is that? So I watched it, and this was the first time I ever took notes while watching a film. I had my pizza notebook that my partner got me for just a random thing. It was like a notepad, and each piece of paper was a slice of pizza, and the pen had a pizza on it. It was cool. But I started writing notes because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's so much going on here. Like, I can't summarize this in a few sentences. This film is too much to just have like a little blurb on it. Because that's where a lot of the change is my reviews changed after watching this film. This film was like the moment I realized that I like to write about my opinions on films and like my perspective, and that I actually have something to say to a certain extent. I mean, do I really? But that's the point, is I don't think I do, but I want to do it anyway. And it became a really good outlet for like exploring myself and just like the things I liked. And that was like a huge thing with Letterboxd with me, is that it isn't just a film, or it isn't just a place where I log the films I watch and talk to people, but it's genuinely like a public journal of mine. Like, all this stuff at this point is kind of like the 2004 equivalent of a blog. Like, just all myself is kind of there. It, in sparing details, I suppose, because I'm not like spouting off the most intimate things in my life, but like I talked about my mom when we watched Wayne's World, and like, if someone wants a cold, hard, critical assessment of a film, they're going to go to some critic website or whatever. But so I don't have anything to contribute to that. I didn't study film. I exist as a person. I guess this is where I'm putting that thing. I'm a person that exists. I have my own perspective, my own opinion, my own life experiences in a very specific order that, I think are worth sharing to an extent, because my memory is so bad that, I shouldn't say my memory's bad. I think my ability to recall things sufficiently is not good. So I end up with just a blank mind and no memory of the things I want to talk about until it's too late. And then the second I, since I don't talk to a lot of people, those moments are very fleeting for me to share. So the ability to share on here and like all like on there is a significant part of dude, don't do that. Don't do that. My man just exited out of a one-way entrance. He's about to get fucking blasted. Hope someone tries to turn in there. Oh no. So yeah, I took notes, and that's the first time my reviews stopped being like just like little blurbs. And even then, this review for Gums isn't even that significant. It's like, it's not huge. It's not what I've done in the past, like now. Here, it's 2 paragraphs. Let me read it out. Let's hope I can read it out. And this writing this is exactly what sparked not just my appreciation for my ability to write about film, but it gave me a reason to enjoy examining films the way maybe not examining isn't the right word, but I think that Gums was the final brick, the final nail that condemned me to wanting to make a movie. Like the big thing of like asking a director, what did you watch that made you want to make a movie? And generally it's people saying like, I saw Scream when I was 7, or like stuff like that. Or like personally, I watched House of a Thousand Corpses at 13, and that could very well be like the moment that like piqued my interest in horror. But the thing that made me want to make a film was this porno parody, Gums. I think because it finally clicked with me that films don't have to be multi-million-dollar things to be good. And I mean, Gums isn't that great to begin with, but it is good. It's hard to explain. So I'm going to read this. Dude, I really don't know what to say. Sheriff Coxswain had no reason assuming that was a dead eel. Deputy Dick was a real charmer. One of the very few to voluntarily subject himself to dicks and dick-shaped things. There's fun little graphics that are used instead of censorship bars and blurring. Little lobsters and toothpaste tubes covering up more than enough screen than necessary. It makes you question why not just make a softcore cut at this point. It's kind of funny, I guess. Our biggest curveball was none other than Carl Clitoris, captain of the SS Cunnilingus, a Nazi who looks suspiciously like Danny DeVito in that one episode of Friends. Some elegance from Terry Hall, I guess. I feel like she was going for elegant, but her movement in and while emerging from the water was twitchy and a bit aggressive. The whole film is more or less a comedy. Anything that could have been erotic was hilariously overdramatic. I don't know why I decided to dedicate so many words to something like this, but there we are. Still better than Mousetrap 2024. And that was the first time I ever wrote like a full-on review. That was November 15th, 2024. Which, you know, great reason for Letterboxd existing is I know that now. I can pinpoint the exact day that I did that on and say I skipped work because I wasn't feeling good. I watched porn and sparked my interest in... Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go into that again. But that is why this double feature exists. And I don't know how long I just spent on that, but I think it's a very significant key factor into this, like this whole double feature, this podcast in general, realistically. Because like I said, I started this podcast because I needed an outlet to talk about the amount of movies I have seen. So yeah, it could have very well have been this moment. I'm saying it is, as you know, like a Stephen King saying like that is definitively the moment. That's you cementing into your life the legacy right there. But yeah, Gums, it's it's fucking weird, man. This is my first time seeing the uncensored version, the X-rated cut, and honestly, I agree with Dave Jackson and the Show Me Something Wrong episode about it, that it is better with the sex scenes. I have a friend that on Letterboxd that I do talk to, I mean, not like verbally, but like through the texts of Letterboxd, and he's like, yeah, this is a bad porno, and I actually think he would like it more if he watched the X-rated version, because he only have seen the R-rated, which I have also in the past, and the X-rated version's so good. It's so well made for how shitty it is. And the idea is just so good. So, like, I don't think I've said it out loud yet. How is Jaws porn parody? How does that work? I guess I kind of said it with my review, but it is a murderous, dick-sucking mermaid instead of a shark. A great white mermaid that jawses people. I think they actually use jaws as a verb. Where you're like, don't get jawsed, or something like that. But yeah, that's the big twist. That's how they turn it into porn, is that it's a dick-sucking mermaid. And she sucks your dick so good that you die. And then, for some reason, the only thing that she leaves behind, I guess she consumes you? But, like, the only thing that shows back up is a dick. So, like, she sucks your dick to death, and then eats the rest of you or something. I don't know. It's good though. So, I mean, the opening scene is really dumb. A guy is like going to have sex with a girl on a beach, but she's taking too long, and he digs up a treasure chest full of porn mags, and he just starts rubbing them on himself. He runs into the water after being covered in sand and gets his dick sucked to death, and that's how the film opens. The use of dildos in this film is great, because they're not hiding the fact that you're just watching, like that's obviously not a real dick. There's no way it could be. But like they're like, yeah, an eel or something washed up on shore. I'm not sure what it is. And Sheriff Rooster Coxswain comes pulling up, and he's like, "That's not an eel. That's a dick." And he's right. It is a dick. It's the other thing is they're very obviously too big, which is another thing. Like the guy who got his dick sucked in the opening scene, they have like a 12-inch like massive suction cup dildo floating in the ocean just to represent his dick, and I think that's funny. And so, yeah, there's Deputy Dick, which I'm pretty sure is the only gay character. I shouldn't say the only gay character in that way. There is also the guy that he sucks the dick of. But I think it's really interesting that everybody is, like, really focused on this dick-sucking mermaid. And, like, everyone's paying to get sucked off to death in the water. And Deputy Dick is out there trying to touch some penises, and no one's letting him. He keeps getting pulled away to go and find the dick killer instead of, finding some dick for himself. So, yeah, they find the thing, they bag it up. Deputy Dick tries to shove it in his pants, which is, it's a fun bit, but Sheriff Rooster Coxswain bags it himself, brings it back to the office, and hands it to his secretary, who just immediately starts filleting it. I think that's the right word, right? She's like doing her job and just casually sucking on this supposed severed dick that's in a bag, but it's just a dildo. Then the mayor comes in. He's wearing a hilariously massive tie and a big sash that says mayor. And while Sheriff Coxswain is talking to it, his secretary is under the desk giving him a blowjob, and also dipping his dick in some coffee. And Coxswain loves it. He does like a cross-eyed, like cum face kind of thing. And the mayor's like, let me get in on that. And he starts getting his dick sucked. The secretary doesn't seem to care about whose it is as long as there's something to suck on. But the dude it's like an old white man, right? He sits down, and whenever it shows him getting his dick sucked, they have a stunt cock. They have like a large black man's penis just kind of standing there in the close-up getting its dick sucked. Which is a gag that carries on through the film, because he eventually does get his dick sucked to death, the mayor, and the dildo that they find washed up is a big black dildo. So they really like hold that joke like through the entire film, and you genuinely can't even get the joke unless you watch it with the X-rated cut, which I think is just very interesting. There's also right. So after the mermaid stuff is so also like Terry Hall. I don't really know many porn stars' names, but Terry Hall plays the mermaid, and it's a lot of. You can tell that it's a lot of short takes of her like swimming towards the camera underwater, but it's sold pretty well. I wish they just went a little deeper. Like maybe there was a way to like, because I think when Fulci did Zombie. or maybe it was Creature of the Black Lagoon. They had a guy with an air tank just underwater, and they would just hold the person underwater and breathe underwater with the air tank and just do short takes that way, just stay deep underwater. Because the one complaint I have about Terry Hall's scenes is that she's always just like 2 inches under the water. And there's a couple of bad edits where you see her like go up to the surface. It doesn't kill anything for the film, but it's more or less just kind of like a quality control that could have been a little bit better for this 74-minute porn parody of Jaws. But she's fully naked except for some like fancy makeup mask thing on her face, and there's a lot of spread leg shots of her like swimming underwater. They're very okay with just showing some bare vagina, and that's pretty cool. She's funny though. She at one point kills a woman, and like that's a big, like, everyone's like, no, don't save her, this looks awesome. And it's just really dumb comedy like that. At one point she comes up through a toilet and almost sucks some dude to death, but Captain Carl Clitoris of the SS Cunnilingus, he is clever enough to step in and save the man from getting his dick sucked to death in a toilet. But it's just a really hilarious scene of just like her head sticking in. It's just like in the bowl of a toilet, and just, her doing blowjob stuff. It's hilarious. Funny stuff. But then, right, so Captain Carl Clitoris of the SS Cunnilingus. Sorry. How rude of me. How disrespectful I am. Captain Carl Clitoris. He very specifically in the film says his name is Clitoris. He is a Nazi, as you might have picked up on by being a... Oh no, I guess not. You can be in the SS of anything. I didn't specifically say it was a U-boat, though I guess that would have given it away. But he is a Nazi. He's played by Brother Theodore, which I don't know outside of this film, but people know him. Like, if you look him up, he's probably been in something and he's just like a really weirdly popular comedian who did something called stand-up tragedy, which I think is exactly what he does in this film. I think being a loud, outgoing Nazi in a porno is a really good place to let that out. There's this whole scene. There's also a bunch of racist jokes about black guys eating chicken, but they're having a town hall meeting, and Captain Clitoris walks in. Clitoris, Jesus Christ, I'm being so mean to him. Clitoris walks in, and everybody in the crowd is just eating a piece of fried chicken. And then Clitoris starts talking, and everybody's mouths in the crowd just go agape, and they're just stuck in that facial expression for the entire scene. They're just all like looking just like mouth agape. But he walks in, and he's like, "Yeah, we are hunting this she-devil. I am Captain Clitoris of the SS Cunnilingus," and he's doing a very, very good, like, I don't want to say Nazi or Hitler voice. I mean, that's obviously what he's going for, but I think a better description is the mustachioed guard from A Clockwork Orange, where he's also going for like a utilitarian kind of, not like a fascist kind of like power voice. Maybe it's just kind of like a classic European military voice, like the gunny equivalent of Britain. But he has that kind of voice where, like, if you imagine just like Hitler giving a very impassioned speech, it's this man but talking about a dick-sucking mermaid that he's referring to as a she-devil. And everyone's like, all right, fine. Well, you can go. But like, and he's like, I want to be paid in oil, which I don't fully get. But here, okay, hold on. Before I forget about this. Here's something where, sorry, I'm going to bring up Jaws one more time, but where Jaws is not as accurate as the porn parody Gums is to the original event. Sure, it wasn't a dick-sucking mermaid, but there was a German presence. At least in 12 Days of Terror. I still haven't said, I haven't researched anything about it to know how on the nose that film is, or how accurate the book is to be that. But because Captain Carl Clitoris is in this film, it is historically more accurate than Jaws. Even though Nazis didn't exist for a few more years, but I'm sticking with it. So yeah, he's setting out. Rooster Coxswain, again, not Coxswain, Coxswain. Very, very different. That he doesn't make a point to say so, but I just think that it's a good way of spelling it, Coxswain. Then we got, what else we got? Right, Cy Schmegma. I don't remember what his entire first full name is, but he goes by Cy, S-Y, Schmegma. And when he shows up on screen, when he first shows up on screen, when he first gets called up, there's a little, the film freezes and it gives you the definition of Schmegma as basically dick cheese, is kind of the cheese-like substance that builds up under the head of the penis or something like that. Very unerotic to describe Schmegma in the middle of a porno, which, remember, this is porn, right? And I've only been talking about kind of like the joking sex scene, was actually all the sex scenes are joke sex scenes. But unlike most porn, the sex scenes are plot critical and they actually like develop the story, because the events that are happening and the dialogue that happens during them are actually like part of the plot. It's not just like moaning and stuff. But Cy Schmegma shows up. He's the scientist expert or whatever on mermaids, and he has a blow-up sex doll as a wife. Or a girlfriend, I guess. So he meets up with Sheriff Coxswain. Coxswain invites him over to dinner with his wife. His wife is having an affair with a Futanari papier-mâché puppet that's hiding in the closet while they're having like a short sex scene. But Cy Schmegma shows up with his blow-up doll girlfriend, and while Coxswain's wife is banging the puppet with the massive dick, well, just sucking his dick. That's one complaint, and really weird complaint to bring up about porn, but there was not enough penetration of puppets. There's all these big dicked puppets, and I'll get to the actual like large some of them. But there's all these big dick puppets, and they ejaculate, they're functional in that sense. They only get blowjobs. But I guess that's what the film is about. It's specifically a blowjob fetish film in the weirdest sense possible. But Captain Carl Clitoris has a buzzard, or like a vulture, a pet vulture, who also has a massive dick. Just as a little, additional, since I was talking about the puppets. But while Coxswain's wife is banging the puppet, Cy Schmegma and Rooster Coxswain are having a threesome with a blow-up doll. And they're having like full-on conversations like while it's happening. And then, this isn't even like the whole scene is over yet. These are just multiple sub-sex scenes in this entire scene of Cy Schmegma coming over for dinner. then the wife finishes, or they're like, all right, dinner's ready or whatever. So they all convene into the same room. Oh no, the wife comes down and sees that they're banging the blow up doll, and she like joins in eventually after having some weird flashback with talking about how she used to like ride a horse naked and have guys chase after her. It was weird flashback. But then they have their own, non-blow-up doll threesome. Maybe the blow-up doll was involved, too. She has a name, too. I just don't remember it. Julie or something. She's not an actress, so she's not credited or anything like that. But most of that sex scene, which arguably, and I'm going to say that arguably just because, people have opinions, and, maybe the coffee dipping blowjob scene was someone's favorite out of this film. But realistically, a threesome between 3 human beings would probably be like the peak of like the sexual adventures in the film, right? Like that seems to be like where the film would be like, all right, here's like the scene, right? Everything else has been kind of just like a precursor leading up to this. And then most of that sex scene, you're watching dogs have sex. And keep in mind the dialogue, the audio is all still the regular threesome between these 3 adults. But you're watching 2 dogs have sex. And it's very uncomfortable and very uncut. Both in the sense that it's like, you don't see any dog dick, I don't think. But like, it's just a long shot. It's a good full minute, maybe 2, of just like watching these dogs hump. Very uncomfortable and very, again, unerotic. This is a porno, which, when that happens, when a porno film gets unerotic, I get very interested, because like I said earlier about like wanting to make films because I watched Gums. It's this exact thing of like, they're taking the medium of porn, something that's supposed to be inherently erotic and exploitative in very specific ways. And this film does everything to not be that. And it does it in the form of a comedy, which, I've seen porn parodies, growing up. Everyone's seen the Scooby-Doo, right? But it's a real shift in the medium, and I think that's really what interests me the most about these kinds of films, is that you can make a 74-minute porno, and it won't be considered good, but it would be a finished film that you can watch on 35mm film. Like, it's a really... So it kind of unlocked that thing for me in my brain. But so... Oh, man, where was I at? I was talking about the puppets. Let's go back to the puppets, because I think that's where the main meat is, and I need to get to that. Because I only have a few more minutes left until I need to make a move, bust a move. So, the puppets... They start showing up more and more, and when you get to the last scene, the famous, like, we're going to need a bigger boat scene, they don't say that, by the way. Damn, I didn't talk about that scene in 12 Days of Terror, either. In 12 Days of Terror, it's a lot less over the top. It's a lot more of just, like, being dragged around by a shark. It's very Old Man in the Sea, but, like, successful. 12 Days of Terror, but this one, they outright, like, they change it completely because it's a blowjob mermaid. So Captain Carl Clitoris is trying to bait the mermaid by having a fake dick that supposedly, like, sets off brainwaves that can stun her. I don't think it works entirely, but he does lure her out, and you do get a scene of Brother Theodore getting a metallic spike sucked off of his crotch by Terry Hall as a mermaid. Good sentence, right? How often do you hear something like that? So, in the fishing boat, they open up like the hole in the center of the boat, and I mentioned about the blowjob scene in the toilet that happens earlier, like on this scene. But then Terry Hall pops up, and she just starts sucking their dick, except they're puppets now. And here's something that I really wish they had in the X-rated cut, because I thought it was probably my favorite joke of the R-rated cut. A big title card pops up that says, like, we ran out of money. So from I wrote to, and it's like a handwritten note saying, like, hey, we ran out of money. We need you to do puppet show to act out the last scene. So it's almost like a memo that you're seeing that's like, oh, see, the film stops here from being like taken seriously to just like the ending scene being puppets. But I guess, no, I'm not going to say I guess with that. I was going to say it kind of makes the justification of killing the mermaid, which, spoiler, they do kill the mermaid successfully. But so they're getting their dick sucked. I'm pretty sure Terry Hall is still a human, well, like a mermaid. For some reason, I was convinced she became a puppet at some point, but it wouldn't make sense for this scene. So, Schmegma and Coxswain are getting their dick sucked. And they come, but they come so hard that it makes a gunshot noise and kills the mermaid. And then the credits roll on those same puppets singing a song. There's still cum coming out of their massive dicks, but they're just singing a song. And that's Gums. Isn't that weird? Oddly enough, I think me going through Gums was probably the most detailed film description I've ever given on this podcast. Except for when I was doing, what's it called? Pixel Perfect, and I realized that I probably shouldn't be walking through films scene by scene. Because if I do that, I'm condemning myself to trying to memorize scene by scene and have to probably watch a film more than once to talk about it. But yeah, that's Gums. That was my double feature, and it ended with me coming home to no power, waking up to no power, going to bed with no power, waking up with no power, going to bed with no power, and here we are, waking up with no power again. Might have done an extra day in there, but still, it's been frustrating. I'm glad that I at least got this double feature in before the weekend, because it was a very significant thing, and I refused to not let it happen. So I'm glad it did. Anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me. Like usual, I don't really know exactly what you would reach out to me about, but you can do it. I am a person that exists. I have thoughts, feelings, opinions, whatever, and I like to share them to the void, so that I don't annoy anybody in anybody in particular. So anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me, you can. I suppose that's the end of the episode. So you have been listening to Taste Like Tea, a podcast about me am I am he and tea. Thank you.